said, state issue 1 is around the corner. It's hard to believe we got to figure out not just how to vote on state issues, but who to vote for. And there's even like the judges and city council.
Yep.
In my community, trustees in my township.
Yep, me too.
You got to prepare for this thing. So in order to help you prepare, we've brought back our friend, Tracy Bihary, director of the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. Welcome back, Tracy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so November 7th is the big day, and we're going to be zeroing in on state issue 1 this morning. But can you start off by giving us kind of a picture of the abortion landscape statistically in Ohio in the last year?
Yes. The Ohio Department of Health have just released their figures for 2022. And it's so tragic that we saw last year in Ohio 18,488 documented abortions. 29.9% of those were from Cuyahoga County, which is just so tragic. And I think, we really need to start looking at what reflects the heart and biblical message of being a Christian. And even the old acronym, what would Jesus do, WWJD, as it relates to the upcoming issue 1 amendment. So we have to vote in a way that honors God and his teachings. And those statistics, they're only the ones that have been reported. There are many more that we don't know about because of the at-home medical abortions that are not necessarily reported. What was interesting to note on these figures, though, is how the heartbeat bill played into that. So when you break down the numbers of abortions performed in Ohio, they actually fell more than 15% from the previous years to 2022, which is over 3,300. And the reason for that, or part of the reason for that in 22, was that the Heartbeat Act was in effect. So that, was what protected preborn children after 6 weeks of gestation. So this act was in effect from June 24th to September 14th last year. So, it just proves that lives are saved by acts being put into place for the unborn. I mean, that's basically just over 1,000 babies a month saved.
Yeah, wow. And of course, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, when you break it down like that, it really puts some clarity on the tragedy and what we can do about that. Yes.
Now, again, all this could change even more dramatically in the next election as state issue 1 is on the ballot. And for followers of Christ who haven't prepared themselves, could you give us a picture of what is state issue 1 this time?
So the state issue is it's really changing how the opposition has spent a lot of money on using clever language to really take away a lot of what we're seeing in being able to fight for our children. Article 1 states that every individual in the new amendment, every individual at any age, including minors, and the word woman is nowhere to be found in the new amendment. So it states every individual has the right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including but not limiting to, and it goes on to list. So that's indicating now that there's no parental consent for minors required for any contraception, fertility treatment. It even says miscarriage care, which is incorrect. Anyone who's receiving or experiencing a miscarriage is going to receive medical treatment. And then it goes on to abortion, which now, by the word that they use, health, in the amendment, it's now saying that we can now go through 9 months, up to 9 months for abortion, because it includes physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. So that word health includes those other meanings, and it now can be cited to justify aborting a full-term baby.
Yeah, yeah, and as I look at this, I found it fascinating that the decision-making process in terms of what's legal and allowed, according to State Issue 1, appears to be physicians. Is that accurate?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
It seems to me when I read through the ballot measure in State Issue 1 that it's physicians who have the final say on whether or not an abortion can happen.
Well, yes, it will be their determination, and there's one person alone, because they will be able then to justify if somebody is experiencing a physical or emotional episode, and then that will determine if they can then, have the abortion. So that falls on them.
Yeah, and I can say that for those who want to see this, it's not that long. Just yesterday, I went to the Secretary of State's website and downloaded my sample ballot, where you can read through the whole thing yourself. And Tracy, it's not a lot of words, and perhaps that's part of the problem, huh?
Yeah, the language is just so it's so encompassing. It's just generic words, and you really have to read between the lines. It's the absence of what it's saying, which is the problem. It's a one-page. You can see on seethelanguage.com. There's many websites that are available. Create Equal. There are a lot of them out there that actually explicitly talk about what the language means and what the absence of the language means. And it's extreme that anyone would actually want to go to a 9-month abortion, but there are many reasons why a woman in crisis may want to do that. And we really have to look at what this is going to mean for Ohio. A lot of women face financial issues. Their living conditions can change. Relationships change. There's even cryptic pregnancies. We had a woman come in recently who didn't realize she was pregnant at 6 months. So, there's a lot of reasons that it might sound extreme, but these things can happen, and we want to be prepared for that. So understand what you're voting for. The opposition has 5-1 lead on our financial support against our pro-life movement. And they are just using words like protecting families in their advertising campaigns. And it's clearly the opposite of what they're doing.
So if State Issue 1 were to pass, how would this impact Cleveland Pregnancy Center and other pregnancy centers around the state?
Yeah. There's any numbers that could occur to the centers and just sort of threaten the core of our mission, which is to consistently serve, as a beacon of hope for women in the community and beyond. And our essential services, could be jeopardized and affect the lives that we're dedicated to preserving. But saying all that, we'll continue to serve our clients as we do with love and grace, and we meet them where they are. The health and safety standards in Ohio could be eliminated. There may be no need to examine women or explain the risks of abortion ahead of time. There's already organizations that are targeting crisis pregnancy centers with false information, saying that we judge and shame women who walk through the doors and that we stand in the way of medical decisions, and that is clearly not the case.
Right.
We meet women where they are with kindness and understanding. They are in chaos in their mind. We perform pregnancy tests and ultrasound, and we have licensed medical professionals. We walk them through their options. We offer information on adoption services and how we can help carry to term and what assistance we can give them. And we ask to pray for them. We can be the hands and feet of Jesus just by serving these women in their state of crisis.
So for those listening who want to learn more about State Issue 1 and learn more about what you're doing at Cleveland Pregnancy Center, how can they get some more information?
We would love to talk to anybody that would like to come visit us. There's a lot of information out there on different websites. We can take phone calls at our center. If there's a lot of things people can do to help too. One of the things I've been telling people is, suit up. Wear the armor of God. It's God's armor that we put on, and it's not a borrowed suit. My local pastor on Sunday was, let's remind ourselves of Proverbs 31, verse 8 and 9, and let's speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. If you don't speak up, that is saying that you're missing an opportunity here in your silence. Actually, a few weeks ago, you had a Professor Heather Holleman on.
Yes.
She stated, and I loved what she said, that we're not fighting people, we are fighting Satan. So if you go and talk to your neighbors, rather than find out what the information is before you start, be educated and research. Then go find your neighbors, go speak to people in the grocery store, strike up a conversation. Don't argue the point of why we're right. Ask why they believe the way they do. More often than not, most people are coming from a place of pain or loss.
Yeah.
And if you open up a dialogue, you take the opportunity, then again, you're the hands and feet of Jesus in a conversation. Maybe somebody's got a really strong political upbringing. And so just listen. You don't need to jump in and argue, but maybe get some scripture prepared and share your own testimony. There's a lot of people that operate from ignorance and fear. And it's our duty as Christians to stand up and speak out.
Tracy Bihary, again, is director of the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. We are so grateful for helping us understand State Issue 1 and for the work you do at the Cleveland Pregnancy Center. God bless you, sister.